Jan Karel, how you doing?
I'm fine. How are you doing, Oz?
I'm okay.
Great to talk to you.
Yeah. It's been a while. We talked a little bit in December
Yep.
at no November at the MVP summit.
Yeah, I think it was in a bar, right?
Well,
To begin with. That was the
man, don't
first.
make it sound
That's where I
like that.
met you.
Yeah. We met in a bar. Oh my gosh. Oh man, I
Yeah.
feel dirty all of a sudden. No, no.
Oh, whatever. So,
Yeah, it was up at the MVP summit, and yeah, people get together at the Rock Bottom Brewery in Bellevue after the
yeah,
session.
that's where it was.
Yep.
Precisely. Yep.
But I remember talking with you at the bus stop. You were getting ready to go to the shuttle because I was a guest, so I couldn't go to the sessions. And I remember talking with you at the bus stop as you were getting ready to get on the shuttle.
Yep.
Yeah.
That too. Yeah.
So remember this
So,
guy.
okay.
Yeah. So remember you pretty tall.
Well, it's 1 meters 85. That's 6 foot and something in US.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but it was good to meet you because um, I noticed that I've got some of your web pages bookmarked, and they've been bookmarked for years. So you've been doing a lot of stuff with Excel. So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about who you are.
Yeah. Okay. So by education, I'm a chemical engineer. And as a chemical engineer, you get to do fun stuff like processing your experimental data and all. So for that, of course, you'd use stuff like spreadsheets. And back in the day, we're talking about 1986. We were using Lotus 123 version 2 dot whatever
Right.
on a black and green screen. Remember those maybe? Or maybe you're not old enough. I don't know.
Well, I'm old enough, but I was in the Navy from '85 to '91. So if you ask me about driving a submarine, I can talk about that. But
Well,
so
actually working with Excel felt a bit like driving a submarine back then, watching a tiny screen and knowing that there's tens of thousands of cells you can't see because the screen's too small.
wow, wow,
They
yeah,
changed that. They changed that. Now you have a big screen and there's still millions of cells you can't see. So there's not much of a difference.
right, right.
Good.
So
So I was a chemical engineer. I was saying I did that until 2001 or something, and then I changed jobs. And 2 years later, I kind of thought, well, I'm quite good at this Excel contraption. Let me see if I can make a business out of working on that full time
hmm
instead of fooling around doing things I don't really like, just work in Excel all day. And I've been doing that ever since.
wow, wow. So what was that like getting started?
Oh, well, I was sort of pushed into the deep end because I was doing a job back then at a company that produced machines for the CD and DVD production.
hmm
And we all know what happened to those producers. I mean, who buys a CD, right? No one. So in 2003, they kicked me out because they didn't have any projects for us guys anymore.
Uh-huh.
So it was sort of a coincidence that I actually wanted to start doing my own business and got kicked out. So that sort of coincided really nicely.
Right, right. Okay.
Yeah. But still,
And
it takes time to get your client base up and all. So it took me about 2 years to actually start to earn some money from it.
okay.
But I haven't been sitting still since then. I mean, I'm 150% booked, for
Wow.
example, in the past year or something. So I could work 60 hours if I feel inclined to, but I don't, of course. But well,
Right. And what kind of clients and projects keep you busy?
it's widely a wide variety of all sorts of different stuff. I mean, I'll never forget my very first client, which was a small plumbing company somewhere in Arizona.
Oh,
So that was big fun. And but at the moment, I'm working for a large oil company in The Hague. So it's between those two skills and in anything in between.
wow.
Yep.
Okay. So, an oil company. So, do
Yeah.
you ever ask them why Excel? Why not any other thing? And I think about, I asked one client about why Excel, and he said there is something for his industry, and it costs $100,000, and he'd have to pay somebody $100,000 to run it, and he doesn't need everything that's in this software.
Yep.
He
Yeah.
needed something to grade these questionnaires. That's all he needed. And so,
Right. Yeah.
I'm just wondering, so why do your clients use Excel when they seem like they might have the money to do something else and have a whole IT team to build something custom?
Well, the fun thing is the particular project I'm doing right now. There's a huge team working on that, from SAP guys and those guys that earn about 5 times as much as I do. Whereas the Excel workbooks that are in the middle are actually more or less the center of the universe for that application. So they're doing all the hard work.
Oh,
Um, it's because Excel is flexible.
uh-huh.
It's because with Excel you can build a small application in just a bit of time compared to those huge contraptions of SAP and stuff like that, who might take a dozens of engineers to do weeks and weeks of work.
Right.
So yeah, but your mileage may vary. I mean, sometimes it's just better to build a proper application in SAP and leave Excel out of the picture. And
Right.
it depends on what you want to do.
Exactly. Depends on
Yep.
what you want to do. And then whatever constraints you have around money, time, people.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and we met at the MVP summit. And how long have you been an MVP?
I was nominated back in 2002, so this is my 13th year,
Wow.
14th. I don't know. I lost count.
Wow. And what does it mean to you to be an MVP?
Well, at least when I got the first award, it meant recognition, and it actually convinced me that I actually know what I'm doing if I'm working with Excel. And it's like a huge wow when you get that. You got the email last January, so you know how it feels.
Well, hey, I want to hear your experience.
Yeah, well, it was great. I mean, well, back then there were only about 400 MVPs or something, and you could only get to become MVP if you would post answers to questions online. And when I started answering questions, Microsoft didn't have what they called news groups back then. They had just been um, opened up.
Hmm.
Before that, they used a forum on CompuServe, and that's where it all started. So you'll see that the really long-time MVPs like Bill Manville and Bob Omnis, they all started out at that CompuServe forum, and I started there too.
Wow. Okay.
And I remember that I got an email from Bill Manville, saying, "Hey, JK, we're considering nominating you as an Excel MVP." And I was like, "Wow, these gods of Excel are going to nominate me. I'm just a humble little guy from Holland."
Uh-huh.
So that's what it felt like, sort of in a nutshell, if you
Oh,
like. Yep.
wow. So
So
now after 13 years, what is it like for you when you are, re-awarded?
it's still great because it still gives you the feeling that, okay, you're still part of this club, and Microsoft still thinks you're doing great work for, advocating their software and helping people, especially that, helping people, use Excel to its full extent, and
Yeah.
try and educate people and all. So I think that's the most important thing to me. And then of course this MVP award is my huge billboard outside that says, "Hey, hire JK because he's great at Excel,"
Yeah.
right? So it just brings in business, so to speak. If you
Yeah.
have that on your resume, you'll be on top of the pile.
Yeah. Wow.
That's most important, I guess.
Yeah. And the helping people part is really what's exciting to me. You know.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, me too. I mean, and of course, when you do the consulting stuff and actually work building stuff in Excel or in Access for people,
Hmm.
that has its rewards too. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll never forget a customer of mine. It was a small company, about 7 people, and I came in one day after I delivered my first version of their system. And one of the guys there said, "Hey, Jan Karel, you know what? Yesterday was my first day here that I actually enjoyed working because your new software is so great. I love to use it." So, that made my day.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what, being a software consultant makes it be a nice job.
Yeah. And
Yep.
that's one thing that it was hard. I didn't get it myself when I started consulting, and then I had to explain it to clients eventually. Once I got it, was that we're really doing software development. When
Yes, we are.
somebody wants something custom, and they've tried a bunch of things, and all of them kind of had what they needed, so now they need something custom, and Excel can do it. Or there's something way too complicated out on the market, and then come
Yep.
build something in Excel, and you go through the design and the layout, the interface, where the data gets stored, all the calculations. Yeah, that is custom development.
It sure is.
Yeah.
Well, if I teach an Excel class to beginner users, so to speak, the first thing I tell them is that they're not Excel users, they're programmers.
Good.
And they really need to get into that mindset of that working with Excel is actually programming to begin with. And that once you realize that, you can start looking at all this documentation that's out there that says how you do proper programming work.
Hmm.
Like, doing the design phase and, gathering requirements and all
Yeah.
those steps that a software development company already, well, should master and adhere to, would basically also apply to a tiny little project when you're actually creating your own budget sheet.
Hmm. Hmm. Man,
Because what many people don't seem to realize is if you're building an Excel model, 9 times out of 10, this model is going to be used by other people than just yourself.
yeah. Yep. Yep. You got to think about the
Yeah.
validation and everything and all the possible scenarios that people might try something and then it's got to respond a certain way.
Yep.
You try to do something, maybe make a start and end time the same. Okay, it can't just crap out or accept that data. It's got to do something.
Yep.
Yeah.
Correct. So yeah, so those are some experiences of my past.